Hey, it's Julian Gordon from the Multifamily Movement, aka Mr. Multifamily. And even though I teach multifamily real estate investing, I know a lot of people are still considering buying a single family home and they're wondering whether they should keep renting or buy a single family home given the state of the economy, the turnover in the administration, and what's happening in the future. And so I want to answer that question or allow you and help you answer that question with straight facts using numbers. A lot of people buy real estate making the biggest decision of their life, their biggest financial decision of their life, based on feelings, but I actually want to help you make that decision based on numbers. So I'm going to show you the multifamily movement rent or own housing calculator, and I'm actually going to give you this tool so you can plug in your own numbers so that you can see how this applies to your unique situation. But I do not want you to make a big mistake. I don't want you to be pressured into buying a single family home because a real estate agent told you to, because your parents want you to, because your friends are doing it. I want you to know exactly the difference that it's going to have on your generational wealth if you choose to stay renting or to buy a single family home. The asset class that I teach, which is multifamily real estate investing, when buying fourplexes, triplexes, duplexes, that's the only way to get rid of your housing expense forever. Getting a higher paying job does not get rid of your housing expense. The only way to do that is to buy multifamily real estate. When I bought my first triplex in Brooklyn, New York, it literally changed the financial trajectory of my life. I went from paying expensive rent in Brooklyn to being paid expensive rent in Brooklyn. And I have not paid a housing expense since May of 2013. And so that's what I teach. But I know some people are going to do what they want to do. And so I want to show you the cost of housing, whether you choose to still rent or you choose to buy a single family home. If you don't choose to do the multifamily path, I still want to show you the cost of housing. A lot of Americans are actually house poor. They quote unquote are achieving the American dream because they checked off the box of having a single family home. But if you look at the numbers, they're actually house poor. 40 to 50% of the money that they're bringing in terms of income is actually going out towards their housing expense, and nobody told them that. And so I want to show you by the numbers how this is going to play out for you over the next 30 to 50 years if you choose to rent, buy a single family home, or buy a multifamily home. And I'm actually going to give you this spreadsheet, okay? So let's jump into the spreadsheet right now because I got to walk you through it step by step so you know exactly how to use it and can make the best decision for you and your family. So the orange cells are the ones that you're going to edit once you get the spreadsheet, right? And you're going to plug in your numbers. Now, here for this example, I have $420,000 as the average housing price. I got that from here as a third quarter. That was the average housing price in the United States, okay? And then the current mortgage rates are around 7%. And so here you can see that I put 7% as the interest rates, all right? Now, that's going to fluctuate based on your credit and things of that nature, but those are what I put here. Now, if you use the government's FHA program, that is going to be 3.5% down. So your mortgage amount is going to be $405,000, and you're going to have to put about $15,000 down. Closing costs are typically around 6% and may differ based on where you live. Annual home appreciation is about 3%, meaning that the value of this $420,000 house is going to go up by about 3% every single year. That's just been the trend historically when it comes to real estate. And then mortgage months is 360 months, which is 30 years. I have your current rent at $2,300. If your current rent is $1,500, then you put that in here instead. Then we have the rate of return on investment. So in this case scenario, this financial plan, the renter is going to invest the difference. So the homeowner is actually going to be paying more than the renter for housing, and the renter is going to invest the difference. And we're going to see who's going to be ahead after 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 years. And then I gave everybody a 25% tax rate. Okay. So if your rent is different, if you're going to be able to get a lower interest rate somehow, if you're going to put a higher down payment, you can shift these numbers in the orange cells. Okay. Now, if you haven't bought a home before, you might not know these expenses that actually don't go towards your principal, and those include PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. In this case scenario, it's 0.5% of the mortgage, so 0.5% of this $405,000. Property taxes, I put at 0.75%, and these are just guesstimates. You actually have to go to the assessor's website of your county or your city to actually find the property taxes for the house that you're seeking to buy, but they're typically around 0.75% to 1% of the price. Homeowners insurance is the same. And then home repairs. A lot of people do not account for home repairs. They just say, oh, I'm going to pay the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Well, now you're a homeowner, and if you need a $10,000 roof, if you need a new garage door, if you need new plumbing or new HVAC, that's coming out of your pocket. And so we need to set aside money for home repairs. I put that at 0.5% of price. So that's $169 a month that you're setting aside, right? This is not going to the bank. You have to set this aside for future repairs. And then inflation, I put at 3%. That inflation is connected to the appreciation of your home. That's also inflation is going to affect all of your expenses. And when it comes to maintenance and utilities and things of that nature, but it's also going to increase the rent for the person who chooses to rent. Okay. So you can see monthly that PMI is going to be a 169, and PMI used to come off once you got to 80% loan to value ratio. But now it's permanent unless you refi. So unless you refinance out of that original loan once you have 20% equity. So that 169 is going to be there forever. Then we have $253 going towards taxes every month. 253 going towards homeowners insurance, and then 169 also set aside for repairs. So that's another $844 just set aside for expenses that do not affect your principal, right? So that's really key. And when you add that up annually, that's $10,000, right? That's an additional $10,000 that's going out towards these other expenses, all right? And those expenses increase. Why? Due to inflation. So your property taxes are likely going to go up over time. Your homeowner's insurance is likely going to go up over time. Your repairs are going to go up over time. So you can see in year 30 that this 253 now becomes 597. This 169 becomes 398. Now your private mortgage insurance will go down because your mortgage is going down over time, but the other expenses go up. So this is $19,000 annually, even after you've paid off the mortgage. Even after you've paid off the mortgage. And so if you're at a 25% tax bracket, you have to make about $25,000 just to pay for your housing, even after 30 years, if you choose to buy the single family home. Okay. So this person's mortgage payment is $3,372. $3,372. And that does not account for the home repairs. That's just the mortgage payment, which is principal, interest, tax, that is right here, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, capex repairs, and vacancy. No, excuse me, that's for multifamily. That's principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Okay, so this is the housing expense that this person has to pay. All right, that's their mortgage payment. Okay, so from here, how do we use this information? So when you look at the single family home over 30 years, 14,000 went to down payment, 25,000 went to closing costs, 405,000 is going to go towards principal. The interest, look at this. You're going to pay $565,000 worth of interest over the 30 years. So you're going to pay more in interest to the bank than you actually paid for the home. Right? You only paid $420,000 for the home, but you're going to pay more in interest to the bank than you actually paid for the home. So I want you to be aware of this. When you look at prices on Trulia and Zillow, that is not the real price of the home. Okay? The true price of the home is what you see on Trulia and Zillow plus all the interest you're ultimately going to pay. So the true price of this home is more like $900,000, right? When we account for principal, when we account for interest. Okay. So this is really, really key to understand. If you had cash, then the home would be $420,000 to purchase. But since you're borrowing the bank's money, which they're really lending you back your own money at a higher interest rate. So it's really your money lent back to you at a higher interest rate because you have money saved there, right? This home is actually over $900,000. Okay. Then when we add in the taxes, the insurance, the private mortgage insurance, that's $41,000 in private mortgage insurance, and all the repairs you're going to have to put into the home to maintain it, right? Look how much money goes out for a $420,000 home. $1.4 million. Okay. Now, if we take off the principal, because that is yours still, that's still over $1 million that went out of your pocket just to have a $420,000 home. So I just want you to be aware of this. I know many real estate agents probably gonna hate me for this because I'm showing you the reality of home ownership, and I'm juxtaposing it. A lot of people try to shame you because you are renting, right? And you're renting something nice, but when you see the numbers as this plays out, you're going to see the difference between somebody who chooses to rent versus somebody who chooses to buy a single family versus somebody who chooses to own a multifamily. Okay. So the money out of your pocket is going to be 3.4 times the amount of the price on the contract. So 3.4 times the $420,000. Okay. So this is just something for you to be aware of. This is the true cost of this $420,000 home. All right. Now, will this home appreciate? Yeah, that's what the realtors will tell you. Oh, well, the home is going to appreciate. Yes, we're accounting for appreciation. Over that 30-year period, at a 3% appreciation on average, the home will appreciate by almost $600,000. That's great. My $420,000 appreciated into a $1 million home, basically, right? 600,000 plus 420. Now it's like $1 million home. And you think you're winning, but you're not. Here's why. Because 565,000 of it went towards interest. So look how much of your interest the bank took. The bank actually benefited from your appreciation. You didn't benefit. You only kept $34,000 of that appreciation. You kept about $1,000 a year of that appreciation. The bank took 94% of it. Right? Most people don't think about it like that. Okay? So now, when we look at this situation, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because now we need to compare. Now we need to compare the renter to the homeowner. So when we look at the homeowner, okay, so the homeowner, they both started with $39,000. For the renter, for the homeowner, they put 39 towards their down payment and their closing costs, right? The renter, let's say their twin, did not use that $39,000 or $40,000 for a down payment and closing costs. Instead, they decided to invest that money. Okay? So they're investing that money at 6%, which is what we got from the S&P 500 on the low end, right? So the renter right here is paying $2,300 in rent, but the homeowner is paying $3,541 out of their pocket every single month for housing, right? To cover principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and repairs, right? So the renter, if they're twins and they make the exact same amount of money, actually saves $1,241 because their housing expense is $1,241 less than the single family homeowner, correct? So the renter then can invest that extra money into the stock market at 6%. So since the renter is starting with $40,000 that they did not have to use for a down payment, well, we could say maybe they had a security deposit or something like that and they can't touch that money. But in general, they have access to the $40,000 plus they're adding this $1,241 every single month. Now they are growing that money at 6% and they are starting to invest right now. They are starting to invest right now. Again, this is accounting for them both basically having $3,541 to put towards housing. The single family buyer decided to put it all towards a single family. The renter said, I'm going to go rent at $2,300 and I'm going to invest the difference. Okay. They may have additional income. I'm just looking at the money that is going towards housing and how it could be used. All right. So when we look at this, right, when we look at this over time, watch what happens. The homeowner's net worth actually goes down because they have to pay all these closing costs, right? They're paying private mortgage insurance, they're paying homeowners insurance, they're paying taxes. So the homeowner's net worth is not growing nearly as fast as the renter, right? The renter's net worth is here in column Q, and they're at $41,000, and it's going up every single month, not only because of the $1,200 contribution, but because of the 6% growth. So their net worth is going up and up and up and up. The single family buyer, right? They have their down payment, which is net worth, right? They have their down payment, and then they also have some appreciation that is happening on a monthly basis, broken down about 0.25% every single month. If the annual appreciation rate is 3% over here, that's about 0.25%. But the beauty of appreciation is that it's 0.25% on this $420,000. So you see their home equity, which is their down payment, plus any appreciation that they're getting on a monthly basis. You can see their net worth is going up. But look at the difference. The renter is ahead by $25,000 and continues to get further and further and further and further and further ahead of the single family homeowner. Okay? Further and further and further and further and further ahead, right? That gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until about year 17 it starts to turn, and that's when for the single family buyer, more of their mortgage payment starts to go towards principal than it does interest, right? So this is something to be aware of, okay? This is something to be aware of. And this goes all the way to year 50. Right now we're in year 20. And you see it switches right here, okay? It switches right here in month 196 which is around year 17, as I said. Okay. So the homeowner doesn't catch up, even when we're accounting for appreciation, does not catch up until about year 17 in terms of net worth. All right. Now, when we look at this laid out, the homeowner versus the renter, let me zoom back in. The homeowner versus the renter, 30-year comparison, the value of the paid off house is over $1 million. It's this appreciation plus the original price, right? So they have $1 million home and it's paid off now. The renter's investment account, right, has a balance of $813,000. So the homeowner is actually ahead by $206,000 after 30 years, okay? $206,000 after 30 years, right? And so let's look at the 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 year mark. So in the first 10 years, right, because the homeowner is paying so much in interest, you can see that the homeowner's net worth is $233,000. The renter is $240,000. So they're $7,000 ahead. But then after that, it says own. Okay. Now, this is key. We chose to use the 24-year S&P average. Okay. But if we change this to the 10-year S&P average and we use 11%, all of this changes. 11% right here. Watch what happens. Rent. Uh-oh. After 10 years, the homeowner has $233,000 net worth. The renter has $347,000. Then after year 20, the homeowner has $549,000 net worth. The renter's at $1.1 million, a $575,000 difference. 30 years, the homeowner has a net worth of $1 million, which is basically the home is paid off and has appreciated. The renter has a net worth of $3.2 million. And that gap gets wider and wider and wider based on their ability to grow money at a pretty conservative rate. Warren Buffett grows money and has been growing money since the beginning of Berkshire Hathaway at a 17% annual rate of return. Okay, and he is one of the world's best investors. And so 11% is conservative, but let's see what happens if we change it to 9%. Okay, what does it still say? Rent. After 30 years, the renter has $827,000 more dollars in net worth than the homeowner. And that gap gets wider and wider as we go on. And so this numbers don't lie, family. Numbers don't lie. And what this shows, based on this, a lot hinges on this number. But what this shows is that if a renter believes that they have the discipline to invest the difference that they would be paying for a single family home, and they believe that they can get, let's see, if they believe that they can make that money grow at least 7.5%, then it's actually best, or at least 8%, then it's actually best for them to rent. If they don't believe that they have the discipline to invest the difference for that 30-year period, right? And they don't believe that they can grow that money at 8%, then it might be best for them to buy a single family home. and go play it a little bit safer. All right. So you can go ahead and get this spreadsheet, the Multifamily Movement Rent or Own Housing Calculator, so that you can run these numbers for yourself if you are in the midst of making this decision. If you do not want to deal with any of this whatsoever, then of course I teach multifamily real estate investing. I teach you how to buy fourplexes, triplexes, and duplexes and get rid of your housing expense forever, so you don't even have to deal with this. We only buy properties that pay us. We don't buy properties that we have to pay. And if you are renting, you know that the business model works because you're paying somebody rent. And so if you're interested in that, you can also find that link below. I have a webinar coming up where I will teach you the game from high level. I'll teach you how to finance, find, and finalize your first multifamily real estate deal. But I just wanted to shoot this video to help make sure that you made the best decision for you based on how much you're paying in rent, how much you believe you can grow your money if you were to keep it instead of paying it into a mortgage, into insurance, into taxes. The numbers don't lie, family. Feelings do. Numbers don't. All right. So I hope that this blessed you. I hope that this helps you create more generational wealth. When it comes down to numbers, don't be deceived by feelings and emotions. These are the actual numbers, and we played it very conservative. And so I really believe in the accuracy of this spreadsheet to help you make the best decision for you and your last name. All right. So go ahead, download the spreadsheet, put in your numbers, see what decision you come up with. And if you don't want to deal with any of this and you want to become a real estate investor and get rid of your housing expense forever, then sign up for the webinar and I will teach you the game. All right. Much love. Peace.
Do not buy a single family home. Trust me, listen to me real quick. Do not buy a single family home. It is a trap in the American dream, also known as the American nightmare. The reason they call it the American dream is because they had to rock you to sleep in order to get you to believe it. All right. So here's a single family home right here. And what the real estate industry won't tell you, real estate agents, etc., won't tell you, is that even if this home is $300,000, that's not actually the cost. That is the sticker price of the home. That's if you have cash. But what the true cost of the home is at an interest rate of 5% on this $300,000 home with a 3.5% down payment through the government's FHA program. At a 5% interest rate, you're going to pay $290,000 in interest on this home over the 30-year mortgage. Yes. So the true price of this home is not $300,000 that you see on Trulia and Zillow. The true price of this home is actually $590,000. Right? And we know that interest rates are rising. Once you get to a 5.5% interest rate, you're going to pay for this home twice. Right? You're going to buy one for yourself and one for your lender. The other thing is that shows like HGTV have been lying to you. You see, when people get the keys, they say, congrats, you're a homeowner. They post their photos on Instagram and Facebook. Look at me, I'm a homeowner. No, you're not. You're a home buyer. Those are two different things. You're a homeowner once you paid off the entire mortgage and nobody else has claim to your property, right? But you are a home buyer. You thought you were grown and sexy and like, look at me, I'm not paying rent anymore, Julian. Isn't that progress? No, it's not, because you're still paying rent. You're not paying rent to a landlord anymore. You're now paying rent to the bank to use their money that you did not have to buy this home. And the crazy thing about it is that they're actually lending or renting you your money back at a higher interest rate than you lent it to them. You lent it to them at 0.03% interest, and they're now lending it back to you at 5, 6, 7% interest. So you see the trickery here in the American dream, aka the American nightmare, right? So you got to be very mindful. So not only are you paying $290,000 in interest over the life of this loan, what they don't tell you about is the private mortgage insurance, right? They also don't tell you about the homeowner's insurance, the property taxes, and the big one that everybody forgets and leaves off is maintenance. You have to maintain this home. So when this home needs a new roof, guess where that's coming from? That $10,000 roof, that's coming from your retirement. So now your single family home is eating away at your retirement. You thought you were setting yourself up for financial freedom and success by paying off your home, but your home is actually causing you to be house poor. So this is why we don't buy single family homes first, right? We build our multifamily real estate portfolio where our real estate is actually paying us, and then we use the cash flow and the appreciation from those properties to then buy our single family home. Your housing expense is going to be the biggest expense of your life. Bigger than taxes, bigger than kids, bigger than student loans. And so you want to try to get rid of that expense. And the only way I know to get rid of that expense is through multifamily real estate. And so if you want to learn this game, I'll show you how to finance, find, and finalize multifamily real estate deals and win even in the midst of a recession. All right. Much love, y'all. Peace.